Bien, gracias. My name is Chris Klein, president of the LA Galaxy, and we are really excited today to host Focus and Flow, mental preparation as an athlete, with our good friend and our forward, Javier Chicharito Hernandez, and Dr. Armando Gonzalez here at Dignity Health Sports Park. I'd also like to welcome the LA Galaxy student athletes that are here, as well as student athletes from across Los Angeles. In the audience today that we have, as well as our audience from AEG and LA Galaxy employees joining us live via the live stream. We're so excited for you to join us today as we have this very important conversation with Javier and Dr. Mondo. Chicharito hardly needs an introduction, but for those of you that don't know, he's the current starter for the LA Galaxy. He is also Mexico's all-time leading goal scorer internationally. He came to us in 2020, and he's looking to help the Galaxy get back to MLS Cup this year in 2023. Joining him is Dr. Armando Gonzalez, who's the founder and CEO of Cheat Code. And we're so excited to have the two of them here today. Before I welcome them up, if I could just thank a few people that were instrumental in bringing this event together today. From our foundation and community department, Gabe Osolo, Felicia Hano, and from our partnerships team, Josh Wadley. It always takes a lot of work to get these events together, and we appreciate their involvement. I'd also like to thank our sponsors, Cal Hope, Dignity Health, and the LA Galaxy and the LA Department of Mental Health, partner of LA Galaxy. Now, if you please, in welcoming Dr. Mondo Gonzalez. Dr. Mondo, we have a gift for you.
Thank you guys very much. Appreciate having me back. This is awesome. This is awesome. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Wow. Well, you guys are wondering, everyone's here for Javier, right? You know who Javier is. Anyone know who Javier is? Yeah? Yeah, you do. Okay, there's one person who does, okay? I think we're all here for Javier today, and I'm here for Javier. I'm so excited. I get to just be a little bit of your host and your guide for today's conversation. Some of you may have heard the conversation we had last year, but my name is Dr. Mondo. So who am I and why am I here? Basically, I'm a trained therapist, a doctorate of psychology who left a clinical office job about 4 years ago to start working with professional athletes. And I got really blessed by God to do that. And I've learned so much. And, the last few years, it was 2019, an MLB player came to me and said, I'm having mental health struggles. I need help. I'm having anxiety. I can't sleep at night. I'm not performing well on the field. It seems like it's almost snowballing and getting worse. I'm starting to question whether or not I'm still him, whether I got it. I don't know if anyone's gone through that before, but what I found this last 4 years is that this was not just the experience of one MLB baseball player. This is the experience of so many athletes like Javier, so many athletes around the country, but not just athletes. It's the experience for a lot of us right now. See, we're going through a time right now where mental health is finally being talked about. 4 or 5 years ago, especially for the Latino community to have an event like this, it was unheard of, unthinkable. But it's because of the leadership of our sports stars like Javier Hernandez that allow a day like today to happen. Let's give it up for Javier one more time. All right, so when I started working with the athletes, I said, I know how to help you with anxiety. I know how to help you with depression. I know how to help you with those things, but they wanted more than that. See, once we got past those things, they wanted to talk about mental performance. I say to them, well, what do you want to feel when you're on the field? And they said, I want to feel like I did this one time. And I said, what did it feel like that one time? And they said, there's these times that in the game, I lose myself in the moment. I don't know if any of you out here know what it's like to lose yourself in the moment during a game. The athletes I work with would say, there's this lightness to me. I feel locked in. I feel free to be myself. I feel free to trust my instincts. I believe I have what it takes. The game gets easy and I start performing at a different level. So that we've referred to in sports psychology as flow state. And the first people that studied flow state, they described it from their research because people would tell them over and over, flow is the moment where every decision, every action flows seamlessly, perfectly, effortlessly from the last. If there's any musicians in here and you know jazz music, jazz is group flow. There's no plan, no agenda. It's everyone in the room feeling the moment. Great teams, great sports teams, when you watch them, they move as one. They're moving in a state of group flow. Now, some of us here today maybe don't have quite that big dream. Like, I hope a lot of you still have that dream that you can make it like Javier did. You should. If you have that dream, keep fighting for it. Some of us, like myself, I mean, I'm not going to be an athlete anytime soon playing on this field, but I want to say to all of us, flow is not just for athletes. So if you're here today to hear this message, this is a message for all of us. We could all use some more flow in our life. For the teacher or for the coach in the room, flow is that moment when you stop caring about whether or not the students are listening or buying into your message because you're so convicted, you're so connected with what you're sharing. That's a moment of flow. For the construction worker, it's the moment where all that exists is the tool and the repetitive movement over and over again as the craftsman continues to craft their work. For the painter, it's moments of narrowed focus, expansion into limitless creativity, where the paintbrush just seems to work in union with the canvas and a masterpiece is created. And yes, for an athlete like Javier, it's the moment when his mind gets quiet, his focus narrows, and he loses himself in pursuit of his mission to traverse the field while his mind works in concert with his body as he feels and flows his way to a game-winning goal. Anyone ever experienced flow before like that? Yeah. If you haven't, that's okay, because today we're going to talk about that. See, part of the journey of being a young athlete is taking care of your mentals. And today we're going to talk about your mental health, and we're also going to talk about your mental performance. There's no person better to have this conversation than Javier Hernandez because he's uniquely positioned, you see. Javier is a living legend. He has experienced peak performance that some of us would just dream to get in his mind and know what that felt like to experience. He's experienced flow at its finest. But he also was humble enough to be a man and a human being like the rest of us and say, you know what? I'm a human that goes through stuff too. In 2019, he came out and shared his story about his battles with anxiety and depression. But when he talked about it, he didn't talk about it like he was weak, like all the things we were told in the Latino communities or in the sports communities, that if you talk about your feelings, you're weak. He talked about it with bravado and swag, the same swag that he brought to the game. Javier is the perfect person to learn from today about focus and flow and about taking care of your mental. So today, we're going to democratize access. We're going to hook you up with access to some of the cheat codes of how Javier prepares his mental game. Before we do that, let's look at the screen real quick and watch some of these LA Galaxy athletes in a state of flow and just admire that for a moment.
They say you have to work hard to play hard.
It's exhaustion. It's sacrifice. It's commitment.
Our blood runs blue.
Our voices ring the. Our reach goes beyond. Let's see it.
We hold ourselves to the highest standards. We disrupt your now with our tomorrow. We build upon our legacy.
But the work is never done.
Everybody give it up for the living legend, Javier Chicharito Hernandez. They know who, well, yeah, I think they do know. She really does know who you are. Look at that, huh? That's pretty cool. I asked you when we got up here, Javier, why you do this? Why take time out of your day to come and speak to these amazing young folks? Why are you here right now? Why are you making time for this?
Hey guys, good afternoon. First of all, to be completely honest, because he makes me uncomfortable, you know. I'm always
does?
more comfortable
Yeah.
being on the field, speak with my legs, like I call it. I was joking here with Karen and all the Galaxy team. First of all, is because of that, and then secondly, because I don't believe to achieve your dreams, you need to have like certain superpower or like a secret, I don't know, like recipe or formula. You know, I believe that every one of them can achieve whatever they want to achieve because yeah, I think everything is inside. You know, you need to have a little bit of talent of whatever you want to choose, for sure, definitely. But then what it's gonna maintain you in that path, it's gonna be your heart and your mind in this subject very important that nowadays we call like mental health.
That's inspiring right there. I hope you guys are listening to that right there. I think 'cause I've talked to so many athletes, Javier, that share that. They go, I think we look at athletes a lot of times. We look at you, we look at these incredible athletes and we go, you know, they just were born with something different. But what you're saying to these folks out here is that there's a level of just showing up and, you know, like when Kobe talked about Mamba mentality, it was really not about so much the mentality on the court, but the work
Yeah.
behind the scenes, right? And I feel like that's what you're saying. Like if you show up and do the work,
Yeah.
you can achieve whatever goals or dreams you have.
And even if we want to believe that you need to have talent, you need to develop that talent. That talent is not going to develop itself, you know. But because that's the thing, of course, I'm coming from a soccer family, and of course, I had talent to be playing over there. But what took me to a different level was that mindset. And we all call mindset. What mindset? And it's very cliche. You say positive mindset. I'm very be happy, be grateful. Yes, we know that. The situation here is like no one teaches us how to deal with real struggles.
Wow.
No one, because life is not about prevent yourself of struggles. It's about be strong enough so when struggles happen, you are gonna deal with them.
Don't prevent the struggle because you can't,
You
right?
can.
Life is a struggle.
Life is a
Life's a beautiful
struggle.
struggle. Yeah.
Guys, I use the example of waking up. We all would love to stay on bed. Even myself, you know, it's very cozy. It's more comfortable staying there. Imagine having breakfast on your bed, watching movies, be with people that you love will be amazing. But what makes you stand up and say, you know, I need to move, I need to create, I need to share, I need to be a better version of myself. That's what moves me. But then in my journey, like I spoke in last year, it's like thankfully I'm very grateful. I overachieve any of my even wildest dreams. Right? I overachieve them.
You mean you didn't dream that it would be this?
I dreamed that it was gonna be like that, but reality completely like surprised me in that sense. And my point that I'm gonna get there is like, but then I was feeling empty. Then I was still feeling anxious. Then I was still feeling sad in some moments. I don't know why. So then I start realizing that life is not about the success and the achievement and money and fame. Life is about who you become. We use fame and we use our goals to become someone, to become that person, to get there. Because then if not, nothing is gonna be enough. You know, you have $100, then you want 200, then you go, and it's infinite. It's never stop. It's like winning. It's like scoring goals. One season you score 20, next season you want to score 24. You are champion one season, next season you want to be champion. Nothing is gonna be enough. The real beauty is finding the joy that worth is very important for me. Joy of the process, the joy of realizing that you are struggling sometimes, and that's part of the process, and that's part of your story, and that's part of the road to get in that place that you know you're gonna get there.
Falling in love with the process, forcing yourself to be uncomfortable. Boy, those are two gems right there. If you want to know what kind of mindset
Yeah.
Javier practices and how he got to where he got to, he showed up, he did the work, but he forced himself to be uncomfortable, including being here today. So 2019, I have to imagine in 2019, again, you know, my father, my mom's from California, and my dad's from Mexico City, and so I have family on both sides, and I know that in my Mexican family, there was just my dad struggled with mental health, but there was always such stigma for him around speaking out loud about what his experience was, and it was hush hush. And then you take sports culture, and sports for so long has told people that if you're struggling, there's something wrong with your mindset. You're not strong enough. You know what? Churches have even done that for a long time too, in religion and things like that. So in 2019, talk about being uncomfortable. I can only imagine how you must have felt in 2019. How uncomfortable was it, and what propelled you to share your story about anxiety and depression out loud?
I use it in a way to commit myself because I'm a believer that if I'm here speaking about it, then when I drop the mic and then I go away, I need to practice what I'm saying. You need to live what you are preaching. So for me, it's a way of getting more responsibility, getting the public and speaking with you guys. God, get me drive now after the things that I'm gonna do and then commit myself from my words. It's like this is for me as well because I'm growing with them. They help me grow. Even here listening to me, it's helping me so much. It's part of that process. It's part of me learning, sharing, be vulnerable because always trying to be vulnerable. Well, not trying is being vulnerable is more uncomfortable than not being vulnerable. And that's why our ego exists, is to prevent those vulnerabilities. You know, in the past, the vulnerabilities were probably a lion is going to chase you and is going to eat you. Right now, it's like what 1,000 people are going to say about me. If I post a picture and I just got 2 likes, that's the worry of your ego. Say, I don't have enough money. My girlfriend left me. My boyfriend doesn't love me. My parents, etc. So there's always things that we all struggle, right? So yeah, that's what I did in 2019. I did a process, very internally process. I went deep. I embraced full responsibility, not only about my life, even not even sorry, as well as my reality. Like my
Did you have a
reality.
guide for this too? Well, I didn't ask you this the
Yes,
first
I
time.
did. I did. I had a mentor until now. It's one of my closest friends, but he was a guy who he was the first person that I felt was living whatever he was preaching, because I was working with a lot of psychologists. I was trying to seek a lot of psychiatrists to people that they were in the same path as me. But then I didn't feel that synchronicity about whatever you are saying you are putting the word, because for me saying like, yeah, be vulnerable, right? So then if you go and you see me social media, you keep saying me and I act in a different way, it doesn't make sense, right? That you're preaching something just to look good, probably, or just to be trending, because right now mental health is a very important subject. So yeah, I had help, my family as well. Then I become a father, and people, something that I realized that it was completely the opposite as me is I heard my father, I heard my grandfather, I heard a lot of people saying like, when you are a father, your life is going to change because you're going to feel something that you never felt. And what I experienced, it wasn't that. My kids didn't show me something that I didn't know. My kids came to confirm me that if I want to, like, there's no other way to look at myself to be a better version of myself, because now those two creatures needs it for their own good and their own sake.
That's it right there.
It
Can
was
we get a clap for that? That's really what it's about. How old are your kids now?
3 and 2.
Okay. So in 2019, you were preparing, yeah?
I start, yeah, life. I mean, I struggle so much, and a lot of situations start happening very negative and unpleasant because my soul was trying to wake me up, literally, to wake me up about like, come on, Javier, like man up, like grow, like take the decisions that you have to take. Like don't look away of the struggle. Don't look away to anxiety. Don't wait to to say, ah, anxiety is gonna leave. Don't worry. Like forget or don't put attention to that. It was the other way around. So that's what it happens in 2019 and 2020. That's what it started happening. Like there's no other way to get out of any sad or depressive moment than yourself. You need to take yourself up. How? It depends of each one.
We'll get into the how, but I'm just sensitive to the fact that Gen Z, young folks today are the most embracing. I mean, I truly believe without young people, we wouldn't be on stage right now talking about this stuff, because you guys are all just trailblazers for the idea. If something doesn't look right, you're going to point it out, and that's why we're here. But you look at young people, even then, even with a world that is so much more open about talking about mental health, there's still a lot of people that aren't sure how to take that first step. I think it's even harder too when you come from a Mexican family, right? Like, so can you speak to some of that too, in the Latino communities? If you're a young person right now, I just feel like it's important for you to let them know that you also went through, like, because you had to get uncomfortable in sharing with your family that you were struggling. I'm sure that wasn't
Yeah.
the easiest thing.
No, and I haven't seen my kids in 4 months, for example. They're gonna be here soon. But
Man.
those are the situations where I think that's why I'm doing all of this. It's like we all can be brave. I haven't some periods of time I run away of the decision making that I need to do that I didn't want to do. Right. I don't know if I make sense, but it was like since I was a kid, and one experience that I always tell about, and it was a breakthrough in my life because it was very bittersweet, but it was very painful, and my family helped me, was when I got cut out of the roster of the under 17 World Cup when they become champions, and then I went to the stadium and I saw them become champions. So it was like being like not being invited to a party and then look the party 1 meter away, and all those moments. And my grandmother, this the point of the story, my grandmother told me, like, son, I know that right now it's very difficult for you to believe me. Both were crying, but believe me, today is not your time. Your time will come. It's very ambiguous what she said, of course, but what I did over there is like I embrace pain. I cry, like I cried. I felt whatever I need to feel to feel, and then I trust in what my grandmother said. And then I went to my house. My father always told me, like, hey son, we never spoke in this house since I have memory about that one of your dreams was you lifting a World Cup trophy under 17. We never spoke about it. And I was like, okay, Dad, yes, you're right. What we've been talking since day one until now, that it's the main goal. And he was like, become a professional soccer player. And my dad said, you don't be a World Cup champion under 17, it's not affecting you to that path. So focus on that path. National teams, it's a consequence of whatever you're doing in the present moment, in the institution that it's paying you, and in the institution that they deserve everything out of you. So yeah, it's painful, and I understand. Now you get on track, you cry whatever. No, you keep working because the main goal's still the same, without the trophy or with the trophy. So the point of the story is like I practice more consciously because I was a 15, 16-year-old kid. I practice trust in people that was surrounding me. So guys, surround yourself about guys. And when I say guys, is men and women that they do something that you admire and you want to acquire, whatever it is. Those were my parents. So that's the trust. Then the most difficult one is like, yeah, feel the pain. Feel it. And it's sad. Sometimes some moments are very sad, very painful, but if you go through that, the reward is after that. The reward is after the pain of growth and the pain of those situations.
Go towards the pain.
Go towards the pain. Thank you.
Go towards the pain.
Thank you. Thank you for helping.
Go towards the pain and
Yeah.
realize,
Yeah.
I realize I'm honored. I get to watch people release emotion and have realizations they've never had that shift things in these sessions. And it all comes from the courage to actually show up and do the work. And I think what's unique too is that I imagine, like, did you take some of your athlete mindset in retrospect? If you look back at it now, were you using some of the athlete mindset, showing up, doing things you don't want to, getting
Definitely.
uncomfortable? Did you take that athlete mindset and apply it to your mental health journey?
Yeah, sure. Then something that I always said about the mental health subject, I know not starting, it's still developing, and it's a conversation that we love, and I think it's gonna help the world and even old and young generations. But the thing is, like, mental health is part of us. Mental health is not just something that some of us experience. We all need to experience mental health. There's people that they have developed the skills to show that they have good habits, and it looks like they don't struggle. But we, like, mental health is being a human being. I'm sorry, guys, but mental health it's all of us. It's not a subject that just some of us experience. No, you all experience. It's like your body. We all can walk. Then there's people that they can run. Then there's people that they look stronger. Then there's people that they look better. But we all can walk. Right? The subject is not, I'm struggling for walking. No, we all need to learn how to walk. We all learn how we walk in our time. So mental health, it's part of us. It's the subject that we are taking for you to realize that we have to work in ourselves. And then put the word that whatever we wanna put. Because that's the thing. Even now I was speaking with Karen. I was nervous to come here. Guys, I'm not joking. It seems easy, but I was more nervous. I prefer to play in front of 5,000 or 100,000 people. I swear, because I'm more used to it, to do this, listen to myself, speaking about myself, seeing all of you, and having the moral responsibility of, like, oh my God, I want to give something that they can take, and it's gonna touch them and inspire them, like I've been inspired in my past, and I'm still inspired about a lot of athletes and people around my reality. So never forget that mental health is something. If you feel good, it's fine that you feel good, but don't take away that mental health is like a sickness, or it's like a moment. No, you will feel mental health, like your path and your work that you have to do it stronger in certain periods of time, and later, because you are very young in that sense. But thankfully, with these type of panels, with technology and with all the tools that you have, what we are just trying to say is, like, just put attention to that. Even if you are feeling great, even if you're achieving whatever you are achieving, even if your life is full of love and you are shining, mental health is still part of you. So it's a subject that you are developing without even you realize it. Mental health is being a human being. Because I'm tired that they put sometimes in us, in athletes, like, oh, he's struggling. Yeah, we'll struggle. You want to show it or not, that's a different point. We as an athletes and public figures are here just to show it, to help. Honestly, one of my point of views, I want just to help you guys to have a more like, how you say, more richful experience, and realize the tools that I realized later on in my life, because I didn't have these tools. You know what I mean? Like, that's the beauty of technology. I think that you have so many tools that we didn't have in our times, that you can put it in yourself, so you can enjoy your life, you can blossom, and you can be a better version of yourself. That's it. Sorry if I didn't answer your question, but I want to say
No,
the
you
message
did.
because,
Paying it forward.
yeah, because yeah.
Showing up.
Yeah.
Doing what's uncomfortable. And one thing I'll say to that too is, by the way, Dr. Gabor Mate is an amazing author, writer, researcher, academic. And one of the things he says about mental health is, if you're experiencing today anxiety and depression or grief or trauma, and you're feeling it today, even as you're here, or you felt it this morning or feel it later today, there isn't anything wrong with you.
Exactly.
There's something wrong with this world we're living in, though, right now. That's the real problem. Don't let the world's narrative convince you that something's wrong with you because you're struggling with your mental health. We live in a world where we're disconnected more than we've ever been. We don't live in families. We don't live in communities. A lot of times we don't even feel seen, if we're honest, right? There's so many things right now in this world that are not conducive to our mental health, which is why so many of us are struggling. But don't you dare think for a moment that something's wrong with you. It's this world we live in. What do we do about it? We do things like this today. We make it a priority and intention to really take care of our mentals, not because we're broken and something's wrong with us, but because we realize that we have needs and we're important. We're worthy of getting our needs met. So I love this conversation about mental health. I'm going to transition now to mental performance. And by the way, they are one in the same, but we'll talk about them like they're two separate things. Mental performance, today's topic, focus and flow. You know, I was giving some examples of flow state, and hopefully everyone got the message that flow's for everyone. It's not just for athletes, but we are often mesmerized by athletic performances, musical performances, right? Artistic expressions. We're just like, wow, how do you do that? And what's fascinating as we understand and study the brain is that the brain shifts into this other gear. And athletes, listen to this right now, or whatever you want to do in life. We're living in an age right now where you can actually train your brain to be in this flow state. We never had the ability to understand it, let alone know how to train your brain to do it. We have that now. I want you to tell us a little bit about what it's like because we're so curious. I'm going to just let you think. Think now, Javier, of some of your favorite performances where you were so immersed and lost in the moment that you didn't even realize your feet were moving. You didn't even tell your brain to run. You didn't even tell your mind to make a cut. It was almost like there's just no separation between your instinct and your body. You're shaking your head. So explain what that's like, and if you can, tell us some times where, if you can remember it, it came up for you.
What it's like, I mean, you explain it perfectly. It's going to be difficult for me even with my English to explain it better, but it's exactly like that. Yeah, I think it's like meditating. I don't know if you have, like, you meditate, like you are completely, yeah, in synchronicity of, yeah, the present moment. Like there's so much flow, there's so much things happening, but you don't even realize because you are in it. That's the beauty of it, that you don't realize. That's why the cliche thing about when time goes by quick, it means that you have a good time. It was because you were enjoying so much. And when it feels that it's longer, it's because you let your mind and your brain and you get stuck in there. So it feels like time doesn't go by, doesn't pass by, right? So more of how does it feel? It's something that he said that he's completely right. Like now you can prepare your brain. You can train your brain to get to that flow state like quicker. For example, in my youth, without technology, without cell phones, without nothing, unconsciously, how I did it when I was a kid, it was like soccer, football. It was my only way out. For me, it was like the only time for me to express fully myself, and I let myself, because then I have all the struggles that I have with my family, with my friends, with my youth, with the things that I want to do that I haven't done it, problems with my parents, problems with my sister, problems in the school, like all of that stuff. So in soccer, what I did, it was like a kind of switch off, and I'm gonna like just enjoy sport. It was like my way out. That nowadays, that's what took me in some very unpleasant moments too, because now I realize it's not about that. It's about, if you want to get, for example, using the analogy of myself in the field playing, in nowadays, it's going to be easier to get in a flow state when I play soccer inside in a game when training, if I practice that every single moment of my day. How you do that? You deal with the notifications of your body. In my point of view, emotions are notifications. You don't suppress them. You should see what that notification is telling you, and then you go and peel the onion to see what's the profound cause of that notification. It's like clearing your mind, your body, your life out of those like bad, not bad thoughts, but like those thoughts or those notifications or the thoughts that are creating those emotions. So it's like, so you can be present. You can be present with your parents, you can be present with your friends, you can be present here, you can be present anywhere. So that's how you need to practice. And nowadays, with all the tools of breath work, you can write, you can journal, you can meditate, you can listen to podcasts, you can vlogs as well, even people like him or like other ones that they want to share these mental health experiences and spirituality. So there's so many things. So you can choose a little bit of everything, or you choose whatever it helps you, but realize yourself of how you need to wake up your consciousness first, and then realize what's happening with your life, why you are feeling, why you're feeling this, why you're acting in this way, why you're reacting. It sounds very complicated, but start with your five senses. Start putting attention of how's the smell of this place, how does it feel if the air is here, then what I'm looking at, so what I'm hearing. Like your five senses is going to bring you, first of all, it was the first step for me to get into the present moment, and then you can develop. It's like a process, it's a fitness, like mental fitness, mental performance. It's like going to the gym, but just not just in the mind. You will never reach nowhere, like there's no place to arrive, but you're going to develop that fitness in your mental situation.
Wow. I mean, you've answered questions too for some people that might be wondering, how do I do it? He mentioned breath work, meditation, therapy. There's so many, and two, I love how you mentioned too, the technology that we have access to, But here's the challenging thing, and I want to speak to this too. What advice can we give young people, because they're living, like you said, in a different time with technology, social media. The Surgeon General just released a big report on the effects on the brain and what it's doing to young brains being exposed at such a young age. Believe me, we're both on it, so it's not like we're talking from a place that we don't know what it's like. But focus is the precursor to flow. If you can't get focused and grounded in the moment, you won't get to that state of flow. Yet we're living in a time where and this is important, and I think, again, young people, you're all so conscious to these things, but don't for a minute think that social media companies and technology companies aren't trying to find a way to get the most important commodity from you, which is your attention. And it comes from your focus. It's so hard to do that. So young athletes, young people today are living in a time where their attention, there's so many things competing for it. What advice do you give them? Because that might be one of the greatest barriers to them finding flow and being able to really progress in their dreams, is just being able to even get focused and grounded for long enough to do the work.
Tough question, guys, because there's not an answer. There's not a correct answer. There's not a formula. There's not something that I'm going to say and all soccer players do it, so you're going to become a soccer player. There's no magic in this. It could be whatever. For me, what brought me until here was, I'm trying to think it in a different words, but I'll say it straight to the chase. Death brought me here in a way, like we're all gonna die eventually. We're gonna be gone. That's the only thing. That's the only certain thing that we have. So, but that means it's like, why I need to stop doing things? Why I need to stopping myself of living the life that I want to deserve? Well, that I deserve, that I want to live. So since I was a kid with my parents at your age, it was this feeling of getting better, not achieving. It's a difference. It's not achieving of like I did and I have the validation and my family is giving me love. No, it's better. It's listening to this God that I listened since I was a kid. I don't know how and I don't know why, guys, but it was something that I felt. It was the most common and the most strong feeling that I had since I was a kid. Something here that was the feeling that I called God or intuition or whatever you want to call, that I never stop listening to it. And that God sometimes tell me, keep training hard, train harder. Don't go to that party, sleep early. Even if your brain and everything tells you, I want to go and dance with that girl because I like her. No, you stay at home, you study, you do your homework, and then you sleep early because next day at 6 a.m. you need to wake up and you need to go and play soccer. So every single moment, soccer helped me to be uncomfortable.
Wow.
Soccer helped me to be uncomfortable since until now, guys. I go and I'm the captain of these amazing organizations, and things are not going as well as we want. They will eventually. So I took this sport to be a better human. That's it. Then I realized that the outcomes and fame and money and the goals and everything that this profession brings, interviews, being here, It's just the consequence, because the most important part is like this panel is going to finish. I do an interview and it's going to finish. I score a goal and 2 hours later, I need to be in my bed with myself. It finished. It's gone. If I earn $1 million something, it's going to be in the bank, is zeros, but then I cannot spend it in 10 seconds. I can everything is just, there are things that they're not the most important part. The most important part is how you talk in front of you, how you are right now. When you are inside the field and you score the goals, what you do after you score the goals. Now, when you have your money, how you're gonna take care of your money. That's why life is not about what happens to you. It's what you do after that happened, after the event happened, even if it's positive and pleasant, and even if it's terrible and painful. So since I was a kid, it was a very tough answer, because there's no magic, there's no answer. In my life, something that I did is I never ignore this deep feeling, my gut and my intuition. I never ignore it. I ignore it for a couple of months or weeks or years, and that brought me consequences, very unpleasant, and things weren't coming in a way. But every single time that I listened to that gut and that intuition, and I put the work, I took the decisions, I went to the grind, like I grind, then everything start falling apart, and I call it like everything start conspiring in your favor.
We have people out here today that, last year when we talked, I think even this next person we're going to bring up may have been out. May have been out there. There's levels to the goal, and I think what I love that you're sharing is that if whatever your goal is, you got to have that North Star, but you have to set little benchmarks. And anyone you listen to that's great at what they do will tell you it's all about loving the process and the work, like he mentioned. And if you look too far ahead, or you get too caught up in the day-to-day, that's where it can wear you out and not keep you going. This next person we're going to bring on to stage a year ago was probably listening to this, a member of the academy with the LA Galaxy, now just got promoted to Team 2, and has a story to share as well. Let's bring up Diego Lopez. Thanks for joining us, Diego. Diego, I'm curious, just first of all, what's been going through your mind as you've heard some of this conversation today?
To myself, being on the field, doing pounds off the field, and it's a big part of my life.
And as a member of the academy, you were going through, I mean, I imagine you were in the academy during COVID and during all those times. Did you guys talk openly in the academy with your teammates about some of these topics that we're talking about with mental health and performance and those things? And how did you, with your story too, like, what is your North Star? What is your big goal? You were sitting last year like some people were, and now you're up on this stage. What is your ultimate goal? Amazing, amazing. Javier, you're sitting next. Well, yeah, for you, what's it like to sit next to a younger version of you? I mean, this is someone that was in the stands last year who was inspired. Now they're moving up the ranks. What's that like for you? Yeah.
Well, amazing that I hope more people like him can just like develop themselves to get closer to their goals, to their North Star, like you call it, regardless if they want to be soccer players or they want to be whatever they want to be. I'm the other way around. I'm always like in pro of helping and that everyone they will do their path, they will enjoy their own decisions, they will need to face the struggles, but the most important part for them is like they're willing to pay the prices to get closer to that North Star for sure.
All right, mental performance routines for each of you. My last question before we keep this thing rolling. What do each of you do to prepare yourself to lock in before a big game? Is there anything that you do? Any routines you have?
You inspired me on that. I would see him all the time on TV. And I play exactly the same way, and it's just obviously thanking God and hopefully I don't get hurt. Have a great day, and my teammates don't get hurt, and just something in that state of mind.
I love it. Love it. Yeah. What about for you, Javier?
I have a breath work routine. It depends of how I feel because there are some times that with breath work is enough, and then sometimes I need to meditate. So it depends of how I woke up, if I have a good sleep or not, because sometimes you can have a good sleep and your body feels differently. So it's great, but then sometimes you can have bad sleep even if you try whatever. So I meditate. Then music, of course, too. Music helps me. Uh, to because nowadays it's like I don't need I'm not seeking to hype up anymore. What I seek on my routines before a game is to vibrate so high and be in that flow state before I get to the field. So whatever it helps me over there right now, it's breath works, meditation. Sometimes I go for a walk. What I've developed is like I don't want to be a prisoner of routines or habits. I want to be so conscious of how I feel and what my body, my mind, and my emotions need at that time. So I take care of that because that's the most important part. Listening to yourself, listening how do you feel. Because then if you woke up very tired and probably music is not helping you and you just do it because of superstition and stuff, because it's amazing because I start like him doing a lot of stuff just for doing it. But right now the most beautiful part for me is that I listen to myself. I listen to my body. I listen to my emotions. If I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. There's moments that I call my kids before a match. For example, I play in the night. Sorry that I go very long, but in the night I speak with my kids and I feel so like I miss them so much. Then the morning I cry. So the routine, what was it? And then I can come and score goals. It doesn't matter about the routine. It's like the flows to get to the flow state is like you take care of every notification that your brain and your mind is sending you. You clean it, you fix it, and then you keep living and enjoying the present moment. And that's what I normally do. But of course, breath work, meditation, and music basically are the three things that I normally use because those help me to connect with myself.
See, and really too, Javier, you're talking about. I mean, there's little things I want to go deeper on too. You talk about consciousness, and there's all different things there to it. But I think too, like one of the things that I hear Javier mentioning that I hope you can take from this is, be a caretaker of your mind and your body. I think athletes right now are conscious to what they put in their bodies and how they recover and the sleep they get. 40 years ago, that was not the case. Just to give you perspective, no one thought that way really for the most part, or anyone that did seemed strange. Now, 40 years later, I think we're in a time where we're going to start thinking about and having consciousness around what do I put into my mind? What do I put into my spirit? And how do I respond to what my mind and my spirit is saying, as Javier mentioned? Diego, I'm really excited for you. Anything, we're going to have a Q&A in a little bit. Everyone out there, if you have a question, you're going to get a chance to ask. Do you have a question for Javier before we give you a round of applause? Anything that you wanted to ask Javier before we have you take a seat? Yeah.
I hope you can live it because it's very difficult to explain. There are emotions and there are moments like, for example, scoring a goal, having your debut, represent the national team, sing the anthem, too. It's a part of the feeling of the moment, of course, is just pure joy and pure happiness. But when those moments are happening, what I'm trying to like accept is not only the moment and being the present moment because it's amazing and it's great. It's like be grateful with myself and all the people that helped me get into that spot. Because representing your country is not about just putting the shirt and sing the anthem and scoring goals. It's about all the struggles that you need to overcome and all the circumstances that they need to happen for you to be there. Imagine out of 140 millions, at least I don't know, half of us of Mexicans want to be soccer players, then half of like most of them want to be in the national team. Then just try to see it. It seems almost impossible, right? But that's the beauty of it because it's not impossible. That's the thing. That's the beauty of this game. So representing your country, it's like yeah, it's the peak of your career, I will say. Then you go to Europe, of course, and you play with the top clubs, etc. But playing for your country is a representation of like, wow, everything that I have to do, all the grind that I need to put, all the struggles, all the no's that I need to say, like because I said no to so much fun and joy in that moment because I need to get like in track with my profession, right? So yeah, that's honestly, and that's what I feel, and that's what I share afterwards, even with my family and ours. It's a like a very not proud of like arrogant. It's more of like, wow, we did it. Like, wow, we remember when we were crying in the car, 2 months before that you never expect that they were calling you up and then your name appears and it's like, wow. And then, okay, now come in. And then you come in and then you come in and then you score a goal. And it's like, no. So that's why I think you need to be humble enough to don't feel the best when you score, but as well, if you have a bad game, don't feel the worst. Like the other day I was speaking with someone and I want to share you guys. For example, I'm a good soccer player. I know that. Then I can have 3 bad games. Media can say whatever. I'm still a good soccer player that haven't played good those 3 games, even one season. But I'm a good soccer player. It's like human beings. There's nothing wrong. We all are great human beings. We just have struggles. We just have traumas, and we have things to do. So as long as you recognize that, because my parents always helped me in that, it's like you have a bad game, but that doesn't mean that you are a bad soccer player. You have a great game. That doesn't mean that nothing. You're still the good soccer players that you are. The beauty of it is maintain that rhythm. And that's what it's like. So anyway, but it's very difficult for me, and I always take this advantage, these opportunities to explain it like this, because explain you the feelings. I prefer you to live it, and then we can talk about it. And it's like you can feel it differently than me, and that's the beauty of it, But obviously, it feels great to represent your country and play for them in a World Cup specifically.
Thank you.
Well, I'll remember this moment, right, when Diego's out there playing for Team Mexico one day. Everyone give it up for Diego Lopez. Thank you so much. And I want to bring more people up here now. We're going to get to a Q&A. Diego kicked off the Q&A. We don't have partnerships like this without the sponsors that we have, Cal Hope, Dignity Health, just to name a couple. But we're going to bring up some representatives. I want to bring up Dominique up to the stage right now. Dominique from Dignity Health, and I want to bring up Myra and Alma from Cal Hope. Come on up. So we're going to get this Q&A started in a moment, but before we do, I want to pass the mic first to Dominique. Dominique, can you just share a bit about your role with Dignity Health and then also some of the cool stuff that you're up to?
Certainly. Hey, everybody. It's good to see your faces. Hey, I know that guy. It's first of all, thank you so much for the opportunity. I am a director of nursing at Glendale Memorial Hospital, which is a Dignity Health facility. I oversee the behavioral health unit, where we help people who are in mental health crises, people needing help with assistance. We see people who are suicidal, who are homicidal, who are at the worst state mentally, and we help them get back to their normal state.
Amazing.
Thank
Amazing.
you. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you for everyone. Give it up for Dominique, because that's the real work right there. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. Keep going. I want you to introduce yourselves to the audience and tell them more about what you're up to.
Behavioral Health Programs Manager at Visión y Compromiso, which is a Latino-based organization. I manage this program called Estamos Juntos, where we work a lot with mental health and well-being, and just kind of how that impacts the Latino community. We built support groups, curriculum to help bring awareness around the importance of mental health. But just kind of like you, I'm also a marriage and family therapist, so I've done a lot of work with just youth. You were saying like psychiatric hospitals, so had all that experience, and I can see how it relates a lot to like playing sports, being like a soccer player myself. It's 100% what he was saying. I related to a lot, but working with Cal Hope is a lot of bringing awareness around mental health, and I think it's so important, especially in the youth community, because it's and Latino community, because the stigma behind it is huge. So I'm very happy here and just so curious for the questions they're going to have about mental health in sports. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alma Esquivel. I'm the Training and Education Director at Visión y Compromiso. That is a nonprofit organization that supports the leaders and the promotores in the world, in the national, state, and on world level. I supervise the mental health component on our organization, and it is a pleasure to, as a Latina, talk about emotional well-being. Not only that when you become to the level to be sick, but just the everyday emotional well-being that connects to yourself. And so happy to see a lot of youth people today on talking about these topics at the early age is very important.
It's amazing, right? And isn't it amazing in the mental health field? Did we think this was coming 5-10 years ago, where we would have events like this? You know, thanks to the leadership of Javier and the Galaxy AEG. To have an event like this is amazing. I think this is what we're going to need more of to create spaces for people to open up. So speaking of, I know you guys have some questions. So let's take some of those questions. We have, looks like, is there a microphone out there roaming around? Yes. We have someone coming up with their first question. So you can ask questions to all of us. And by the way, if your question is just for Javier, we're not going to take it personal. Don't worry. We know we know how it is. We have questions for him too, obviously. So go ahead.
Hello. All right. Hola, Chicha. I love you. My name's Diego Rivera from Woodrow Wilson High School. And my question was, what is one of your most memorable memories from playing professional soccer? And where do I draw the line between devotion and my goals and overthinking it?
The what? The what?
Where do I draw the line between devotion to my goals and overdoing it?
Ooh, good question. Dang.
Damn.
Thank you, Diego. That's fire.
Okay, I'm gonna answer you. For example, the memories. You know what's the most beautiful part? Apart, I can mention you the memories that we all know. For example, the goals that I scored, my debut, etc. But the ones that I experience, the ones that I share way more, even with the people around me, are the negative ones that I transform them in positive. Like, for example, the story that I told about the under-17 situations, and I can tell you 25 more of them, 2,500 more of them, you know, that I experienced. Those are the most memorable ones because of course, when you score a goal and you are great, you go to your bed, everything is easier, of course. You are more in a positive vibe and everything is fine. But when you receive bad news, when you don't sleep well, when you have a dilemma inside of your house with, you know, I don't know, your girlfriend, your sister, your brother, your siblings, like those situations, those struggles. When I was telling Diego about it, but it was like when managers tell you you are not good enough, you will never gonna reach where you're gonna reach, or even when you stay on the bench and you don't play a game. the whole team played, and we won and everything. Like all those memories are the best ones, and they're the most memorable for me because I'm more proud of myself, of the ones that I overcome, than the ones that I already did good, because I know I was going to score goals eventually. The other problem is I needed to overcome the obstacles. I needed to don't listen to that noise about that I'm not good enough, or I'm just playing because my father was a soccer player. Imagine that. So those are the memories. And I want to share you like that, not mentioning it specifically, because I think that's something that helps me so much to maintain humility, to keep on track on my path, and to bring even more passion and desire to be a better version of myself every single day. And then the difference, sorry, the difference about overworking or being very committed to the cause. Look, it's very difficult because I am a very like brave and sometimes reckless kind of human being. So it's very difficult for me. What I did is I trust in the people surround me. For example, I trust so much in my parents, speaking of, that I asked them so many times when things were very negative and very like struggling, that like, mom, dad, please, are you gonna tell me if realistically I need to like just retire or give up? And they told me, yes, we will. We will. When I see that you are not good enough and you are not developing and you are not growing, or there's no other way for you to go, we will tell you. So that helped me keep going and trusting in them. And I believe in them. And they didn't do this like cliche, my kid is the perfect one, no? Because those two guys, my mom and my dad specifically, every single game that I, for example, scored a brace when I was 17 in Chivas. I scored a brace. It was great. In the way back to my house, we didn't speak about the goals. We spoke about, hey, you didn't did the effort in this play. Hey, you missed those two passes. You could have crossed better over here. You could have moved better over here. So they were very critique. They told me the perfect game doesn't exist ever. There's always a play that you could have do better. There's always a situation they could have handled better. So that trust in them helped me. If you, whoever want to trust in parents, it doesn't need to be your parents. You need to found that mature figure or someone. It could be a coach, it could be a mentor, it could be people that you didn't even know that they are your mentors in that moment, that you will trust. Because I believe that you need to go all in for your dreams. Because if not, what's the fun of it? The fun of it's risking. It's like investing. That's the fun of it. I'm gonna risk almost everything to get to that North Star, because that's what it takes to be there. It takes to be great. It takes doing so much things out of the normal, and that one of them is like, well, yeah, going all in. That's what I did, man. I cannot share you different strategies or different ways, because that's what I did, and that's what helped me so much. Thank you for your question.
Great questions.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Hi, teacher. Okay.
Hola. Jump.
I know.
Tipitos.
How can one's culture that they grew up in affect their mental health?
How culture affect you? It's like, I mean, repeat the question, please. Sorry.
Okay. How can one's culture that they
got
grew
it.
up in affect their mental health?
Oof, a lot. I think, look, something that I realized 5 years ago, and it's a phrase that I'm going to take forever. It's like, we don't have ideas. Ideas have you.
Ooh.
So realize that you're gonna be following any idea, any, and ideas are gonna. It's not like you choose. We think we choose the ideas. No, the ideas have you, because you are living in a square. So choose wisely, and that's what I did. I rewire. Like, I never lost my essence of my culture, but I didn't choose where to born. I born this way. I didn't choose my height. I didn't choose my language. I didn't choose a lot of stuff. So the 50% of that life is already given. It's there. I accept it. But then the other 50%, that's the beauty of it, is you paint yourself in whatever you want to paint yourself, like be yourself, be authentic. But always Like your freedom stops in someone else's freedom. Like you cannot be yourself and just don't give a, sorry, the word, don't give a fuck about other humans. It's the other way around. You can be yourself, but don't let, like, then don't try to control others to live in your freedom. That's what I mean. So about speaking about culture, yeah, I question a lot religion, family values, and a lot of stuff. That what I did is like, instead of canceling ideas, I just like, every idea could be good or bad for anyone. I'm just gonna follow my own, and the ones that benefit myself and make me feel way better and makes me a better version of myself without being disrespectful with no one. It's like being open is that people think that being open is like you're a jockey and you don't think about it. No, being open is like everyone is going to live their life in their own way. And it's possible. Just I prefer to choose different things. I prefer this, I prefer that, but there's no better or worse. It's not true. Better or worse is not true. It's just whatever is good for you and for me. And it could be different, it could be the same. Not the beauty is like the most beautiful part is hanging out with people that they think completely the opposite as you. Because it's always easier to hang out with people that they think the same, they dress the same, they eat the same. But when people that are different and you can accept them, that's the beauty of it. It's like, okay, I don't think same as you, but let's have fun. We can have fun. We can laugh. We can chat about whatever, your thoughts, my thoughts. So I broke that because it was very difficult for me, religious wise, even family wise. But yeah, I paid the price. I paid the price of being away of people that I didn't want to, but we didn't think the same. We weren't vibrating in the same way. I need to stop hanging out with a lot of people that I loved and I still love, but I'm in my own pace. I'm in my intention. I'm in my purpose. And if people can come along, I'm gonna be so glad because I want them. And if not, it's part of life. It's part of life. You cannot be happy and you cannot like make happy to 7 billion people around this world, you know? So yeah, that's how I did it. I don't know if something makes sense. Sometimes I ramp like this because you can take whatever you want to take, you know?
Uh-huh.
Like
you're-
whatever it
you're-
takes, because there's no recipe for nothing. There's not. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank
Javier's
you.
out here spitting bars, right? Wow, gems left and right. I want to speak to that too from the panel too. Maybe we can speak to that. I love like you said, those are ideas. What is culture? Culture is a set of ideas that have become, you know, the things that we organize around, the things that we see our lives through. And so, but Black and brown culture for a long time has not felt safe enough to speak about their vulnerabilities out loud because it wasn't safe, if we're really being honest, to do that. Maybe maybe you guys can each share some light, maybe speak to that from Black and brown cultures. Yeah.
Yeah, if growing up in the Latino community, talk about weakness. It was not accepted. Talk about mental health. So don't be afraid to take those challenges. Don't be afraid to be open to new ideas. Sometimes we're not used to it, to talk about feeling depressed, feeling sad, not getting along with the kids. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid that you will find someone that will put an ear to you. So take the lead, and also always find the balance in your life. I know that the life requires a lot of us to do so many things, to be efficient in every single aspect. Keep the balance. The life is to be joyful, to be committed, but also to always find joy in yourself.
And if I may, I would
Yes,
also like to
please.
say, be kind to yourself. You know, the world is full of negativity. People are going to doubt you. Connect with someone. We said that earlier, that you can trust. And when you hear those negative comments come in your mind, combat them with something positive. Affirm yourself. Let that come internally. And that's part of our culture too, right? We have people that surround us that will affirm us, will build us up, encourage us. You know, you need that at this moment. And you know what? It's your time. Everybody here, it is your time. This is your time to be you, to be proud of who you are. So thank you, guys.
I love that too, because in the balance of it all too, that there's a balance, but you know, at the end of the day, I think like Javier's story tells us that sometimes we're depressed and anxious, and those are just warning lights on our vehicle dashboard indicator that just say like, hey, you're not living in alignment. So sometimes the depression and anxiety isn't there to ruin our lives, it's to awaken our lives to something different. We have to be true to ourselves. The cultures that we're born in might not be able to accept who we are at our core, but we have to accept and express who we are at our core. We have a duty to do that. And I also love too that Javier mentioned it's not either or. We think this way a lot where it's like, my culture won't embrace me if I'm vulnerable. My culture's not ready for me to be honest. Well, you know what? Culture's changing like fashion's changing, especially when it comes to mental health. Be true to yourself. And if anything, maybe you just might have the calling on your life to be the one to change the culture for all we know. So be true to yourself, speak out, and realize you'll still have membership in that group, just like Javier. Javier is still Mexican, even though he chose to fade some of the things that the ideology at that time was saying. So I love that question. Thank you so much.
And if I can add to it, just because I see, so I'm from LA, right? So I see like a bunch of different cities that I'm familiar with, like Norwalk, Carson, probably some from LA as well.
If you're from there, come on.
You know, I myself am from a low income community here in LA. And so I think culture is still like divided when it comes to communities. Some things are still accepted versus in some, like you're molded very differently. So I think besides like the Mexican or Hispanic culture or Latino, like there's still like an additional division, especially when it comes to youth. So I love what they all said about like being your authentic self and also embracing self-love, because I think that's a lot of what everybody lacks and where a lot of like the mental health problem starts, like not knowing how to properly love yourself or what that even means. But I hope that kind of answers a little what you're seeking.
Love that.
Thank you
so much. We got time for one more question. Here we come. The closer.
Hi, Chicha. How are you?
Good, and you?
Good. Pretty good too.
Good. Amazing.
My name is Chris, and I'm from San Gabriel High School.
Okay.
Did you ever feel like giving up? And if so, how did you maintain a positive attitude while still feeling like giving up?
So many times, man. You know what? It's so easy to give up. But yeah, so many times. I even watch it in a phrase in a movie that it's kind of like I chose like movies that are like my mantras, you know, some movies, and one is like that they ask him like you don't know what's giving up, and he answered in the way that I felt it too. That is like, yes, of course I know, because it's so easy to give up. It's so easy to give up, even daily wise. Like you can give up to saying I have a routine, I'm gonna work out, and then suddenly you can say no, I prefer to stay, and then you stay. I prefer to call my friends. I prefer to food wise, for example, I have my regimen or my diet, and then you can see a bag of chips over there, and you can, yeah, it's so easy, man. It's easy. That's the beauty of this game that I call a game, man. That it's the fun of it, that it's difficult, that is not easy, that just choosing whatever you want to choose and stick to it, it's complicated, but that's the work. That's what us over here wants to tell you, that we do that too, regardless. Because of course, by social media, modern technology, sometimes we don't show it, you know, because we're famous and we show you just say, yeah, score goals or whatever. And that's why, and as well, sometimes my privacy, I'm not going to share you completely how devastated I am. But what I'm trying to share you guys is that those moments happen to us because I'm a human being. Even mention me someone that it's like unreachable in your point of view, it's a human being too. The beauty of it is how they live those lives. It's like curiosity, it's interesting. For myself, it's like I admire people. It's not that I don't like or I like, I just admire people. Every one of you have something great and I admire it. And then there are things that I want to follow, and there are things that are like, oh, that's cool, but that's not aligned with my life, but it's cool. Like, go for it, be happy, be fulfilled. Great, I need to keep in my way. You know what I mean? It's like, that's why giving up, I think it's another like notification about how strong you want what you say you want, or what experience you want to live, you know? And I think you can develop that path of like, I call it like so many, no, I didn't give up. That's a win. Not giving up, it's a win. It's a massive win, actually. More than the typical that you see us, or in my job, I always point there, like I score goal, that's a win. Yeah, I think that's the final win. My self-scoring goals is like a graduation. I always say, like, one of my uncles told me in the World Cup in Russia, for example, that he never told me. And he came and he said, "Look, like, how are you?" And I was like, I'm pretty nervous. It's Russia. It's gonna be my first World Cup as a starter. Like, I'm here, like, with you. I don't know how many World Cups left I have. And then my grandparents, because they're old. My granddad doesn't live anymore. And then he said, but but look, he said, Javi, the World Cup or your sport in the games, they're like graduations. And I said, like, what do you mean, like graduations? And he said, you just need to go and have fun. You already put the whole work for 4 years. Nothing is going to change now.
That's good.
If you did it or not did it. Now have fun. So that's what I do with the games. It's like, for me, to every game be a graduation and to have fun, I need to do a hell of a homework, a hell of jobs, a hell of grinding, so I can be in that flow state. Like, nothing is for free, man. Nothing in life. Nothing. Nothing is for free and nothing is easy. So choose your difficult path. Everything is going to be difficult. Everything. Whatever you tell me. Whatever. Even if you want to be a soccer player, or you want to be a basketball player, or you want to be a nurse, or you want to be a philosopher, or you want to be a psychologist, or you want to be whoever. Everything is difficult in this life, my friend. Choose your difficult. And like you said it, that's why I love it. Don't give up. It's very easy to say it, right? But yeah, don't give up, man. Don't give up, guys. It's like, it's very cliche, but that's something very beautiful, because it's not about giving yourself about your dreams. It's don't give up on yourself. Trust in yourself.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Thank you.
and if you mind, I would like to share with you 3 things. Never be afraid to ask for help. When you're feeling that you want to give up, look for someone that you trust and ask for help. Asking for help is not bad. All of us need help in one moment. And so if you're feeling like giving up, ask for help. That's acceptable. That's wonderful. That makes you brave, saying, I need help on this. The other thing, think about the purpose. Think about the purpose. If you're thinking about giving up in soccer, what is the purpose? What is your dream about it? And look for something that is really easy to do. So that making an easy step, it will keep you the energy to continue doing that dream that you have. So ask for help. Don't, when you're feeling to give up, look for something that is easier to do at that moment, and that will give you the energy.
May I say one thing too? When you feel like you want to give up, tell yourself it's not an option. Now it's time to look at other options, right? And I like what she said, calling a lifeline, calling help from a friend, but giving up is not an option. You have greatness in you and you have great things ahead of you. And that's your focus, young man.
Let's go.
Thank you.
And as a brand, estamos juntos. Keep connected. Keep connected. That's good. Those connections are going to make you wonderful.
That's it. That's it. I'm gonna leave you with a couple things, and it touches on everything that was said here earlier. So, but these were the things I wanted to leave with you before we leave. Whether it's working with any of the athletes I've worked with in the last 4 or 5 years, there's these little nuggets of wisdom we keep coming back to. So I want to leave you with a couple, okay? And this is going to help you not just in your mental performance, with a perspective to what you want to do in life, but also in your mental health journey. The first one is that no matter what it is that you're gifted to do, your identity is bigger than that. That's your craft. That's what keeps you motivated every single day. We all have a calling. We all have greatness inside of us. We all have a purpose. They say there's 2 days, the day that you're born, the day you figure out why. There's a third one too, right? It's the day that you leave. So make sure that you keep all those in perspective. Your identity is bigger than being an athlete, though. So many athletes today struggle because they're so tied to their performance rather than having a perspective on the process, seeing those moments as graduations and celebrations. You have to have a different mindset. With the athletes I work with, we always say we're playing a different game. You have to be playing a different game than what others are playing mentally. The second principle is, I don't know who the youngest person is here, but you have the greatest advantage. because you have not yet had tarnished by this world that inner child. Because see, when you're young, you don't have a brain to overanalyze or think. You just play. Some of us remember playing. You're going to spend your whole life trying to get back to playing like a kid when you're a professional. You don't believe me? I'm telling, right? Isn't that the truth? We're
Yeah, I
going to
can
spend your
confirm
whole life trying to get back to playing like a kid. So if you can protect it now, don't let anyone take you out of there. Flow state is all about playing free, having fun, losing yourself in the activity, being competitive, believing in yourself. Last I checked, we did that really well the younger we were. Stay in touch with cultivating that inner child. And the final point I'm going to tell you is we shared a lot of things philosophically, abstract thoughts. We also got specific in routines and regiments. If you are not training right now your mind, if we're not doing preventative processes, we're missing out right now. We're falling behind. The company I started is called Cheat Code because athletes now that I work with, they believe that working on their mentals is the cheat code to achieving greatness. The quicker you do that, the more advantages you'll have. There are two things you could do. You could have a primer and a routine before you enter the field. It could be 10 minutes of breath work, meditation. You said, I don't have a coach. I don't have a therapist to guide me. That's why we got YouTube. That's why we got Spotify, right? So many things to your advantage. And then secondly, think about mental recovery. In my work that I have with the NFL team, we've installed not just mental performance, but mental recovery. At the end of the night, when your mind is going through, like Javier said, all the times and the things that you could have done better, there's a tendency for the brain to get stuck on it. And then you don't sleep well. And then you wake up contracted. And then you play contracted, tight. And it just becomes the snowball effect. Have something at night, whether it's a prayer, a meditation, where you can release and recover mentally. Those are the things that I want you to take from today. Anything else before we go, Javier, that you wanted to share to the youth out here today in our audience?
Yeah, I think, well, the little and short things that I said, everything that we all said goes, in my point of view, into one thing: acceptance. Acceptance. Don't suppress, don't run away. Acceptance to ask for help, acceptance that you are not feeling well, acceptance that you have to take decisions, acceptance that you want to give up, but you are deciding not to. So it's about acceptance, guys, accepting yourself. That's why this self-love journey is about, of course, the beautiful things that we need to tell each other, but as well accept that there are days we want to give up, but we don't. The problem is not that you want to give up. The problem is if you decide to give up or not. You see, that's why acceptance is not that I'm going to blame myself because I felt that I wanted to give up. No, that's what almost killed me, guys. It was the other way around. It's like I accept that I want to give up. But the beautiful is which decision I'm going to take. And that's life. That's why you need to accept for help. And if you don't know which decision, now you ask for help. But everything relies in acceptance, guys. Accepting of yourself, accepting what you are thinking, and accepting how you are feeling. And then from there, you choose and you decide whatever you want to believe and whatever action you're going to take, whatever short steps you're going to do, or whatever therapy you want to take, or whatever. But I think acceptance is the key word of I think in everything. We can be abstract, we can be very tangible. But if you don't start with acceptance of everything, you're going to be stuck and you're going to suffer way more. That's my last.
I want to thank everyone for coming out today. Let's give a hand to the LA Galaxy and the leadership. They continue to show AEG, Dignity Health, Cal Hope, LA County Mental Health. So many people contributed. I probably left some out of here. Our incredible panelists that we had here today. Give a round of applause for them one more time. To Diego. And one more time, give a round of applause to the living legend, Javier Hernandez. I'm going to say it 5 more times because we don't get a chance to give our legends flowers. I want to give it to him right now. Thank you all for coming out today. Thank you so much.